Barrett to get things underway and throws a lovely strike first up.
Back in business here. This crowd has been treated to a real power play.
Welcome to the 19th Weber Cup, tenpin bowling's answer to the Ryder Cup. With the very best from Europe taking on the finest from America, there's no shortage of stories to tell, as some of the greatest names in the sport have battled it out over the years.
This crowd has been treated to a real power play. Troup signs off with another strike and a message. So close to perfection as it is, 289, good enough to keep Europe right back in business here. Oh, he really is on fire now. A 268. For Marshall Kent, point number 8 for Team USA. Well, that renders all the mathematics completely irrelevant. There's the answer, there's the point, there's the lead. And look at that, 279. Now that is a Weber Cup high this year. Is it a strike? Yes, it is! It's a point for Europe, and Stu Williams has come through big time. It's celebration time now for Team Europe.
The pattern is clear to see. Periods of American domination followed by the Europeans. The Americans ruled for the first 3 years. Europe came back in 2003. Team USA next. Things tightened up from 2009 before 5 years of European domination began in 2013. Can America break the streak, or will it be 6 in a row for Europe? Before we get to the action, a quick look back at this year's lineup.
Barrett.
Oh, it's there!
The more we get on this lane, the more we build as a team, the more momentum we have, and the last few years have shown the results that we can produce.
The 10, is it going to go? Yes!
Stuart Williams absolutely raises the roof.
Individual losses we're not taking so painfully because we can see the end goal, and that's a team win. It's whether if I lose every point and we win, then that's great and we move on.
He's got to stay in the pocket right there. Boom, says Martin Larsson.
To be able to see the guys on tour and tell them another year, hey guys, you couldn't do it again. It's undescribable again.
He gets Europe off to the perfect start. Jesper Svensson.
We know each other very well, so we have no plans on letting them bring the cup over to America. We're going to get 6 in a row.
Barrett to get things underway. And throws a lovely strike first up.
As a matter of fact, Weber Cup Revenge is kind of the nickname for our team. And that's what we're looking at. We're looking to come back here and we're looking to take the trophy back to the US.
Mr. 300, Tommy Jones. can certainly shoot a strike to start with. How about that?
You know, you're going to see a fiery side of me. You're going to see me probably yell, probably scream, and show crazy emotion that you don't normally see out of me.
Troup, lead-off man, gets great reaction on the back end.
I'm tired of getting beat down. You know, being here my 3rd year, getting beat down 2 years in a row really gets old. So, you know, we're really looking forward to this year. We feel really confident coming in, and you know, it's time to bring the Weber Cup back to the USA.
Got to stop somewhere. I don't want to be on the 6th end of it. I think, you know, a big key for us is getting off to an early start during the first 2 sessions, kind of setting the tone and then taking it from there.
With the bowlers ready for the first match, a short refresher on the rules of 10-pin bowling and how they apply to the Weber Cup. Tony Wrighton now explains.
The lane is 42 inches wide and 60 foot long to the headpin, bordered by 2 gutters. The lane is applied with an oiling pattern, which reduces friction between the ball and the lane. Lane patterns can vary and can aid the bowler at times. The lane approach is 15 to 17 feet. There's a foul line between the approach and the lane. If a player touches or slides over this line after they've delivered the ball, it's called as a foul and no pins are scored. A full game is made up of 10 frames with up to 2 balls each frame. Knocking all 10 pins down with the first bowl is called a strike. Scoring 3 consecutive strikes is called a turkey. If a bowler doesn't score a strike, a second ball is thrown to clear other standing pins. If successful, this is called a spare. Failing to clear all pins with 2 balls is called an open frame. Sometimes pins are left standing at opposite ends of the pin deck. This is called a split and often results in an open frame. If scores are tied after 10 frames in this tournament, players will bowl off a 2-frame roll-off with the game scores scratched. The bowler's ultimate goal is a perfect 300 game, which is the maximum 10 strikes in a row. The Weber Cup has seen 6 perfect games in total, the last 2 being by Team USA in 2013.
So it's a 10-frame match with a strike worth 30 points and the maximum score being the magical 300. A spare is 10 points plus the pinfall of the first shot in the frame and actual pinfall after 2 shots in an open frame. The oil pattern for the start, chosen by the US, is known as rapier. This means 43 feet of the 60-foot lane has been oiled, with the remaining left dry. This is a tough lane pattern with more emphasis on accuracy rather than power. The order of play for the opening session sees a series of singles games, followed by a fans' choice match, where the bowlers are chosen through a public vote. But first up, a chance for the sides to assess their overall form, and for the fans to meet the talent on display, as all 8 players take part in the traditional team Baker match.
And the last 3 have not gone well, and we've picked up a little different mix chemistry-wise to try and keep up with the Euro chemistry, which has been a key to their success.
Something that we really enjoy for the weekend that we're here, but we also get to enjoy it for the whole of the year. We get to, we win. The last few years we've had a lot of success, but we get to rub that in the face of the Americans all year, and that's exactly what we're looking to do this year.
It's 1 point per win, with 19 the magic number, and your commentators for the opening match are Cass Edwards and Nick Halling.
Just take a look at the lane pattern again, which we've talked about. It's a relatively long one, this rapier pattern number 6. Now, the mean average is 40. You can go a little bit longer, a little bit shorter than that. This one is one of the longer ones, not the longest. It's accuracy, not power, is going to be the key on a long pattern like this.
The interesting thing, Nick, is that the oil goes down the lane 43 feet, so it leaves you 17 feet of dry lane for the guys bowling balls to hook up towards the pins and to the pocket where the let's say the sweet spot is for their strikes. There is also a ratio of 2.8 to 8 to 1, so the centre of the lane has 2.8 times as much oil in it than it does on the outside of the lane. So players will be looking to swing from the outside of the lane, hopefully to avoid some of that oil in the initial start of the Baker match. And interesting, last year at this precise point in the tournament, Team USA hit a massive 289 game. And would they like to open with that now?
Historically, over the years, Team USA always seem to do better than Team Europe in Baker matches. Let's see if 2018 carries on in that vein, as the American skipper will bowl the first ball in anger of this year's Weber Cup. Well, he's only just avoided the split. Goodness me.
Breaking news, Nick. Team USA are leading.
I don't think he was too thrilled as that 7-pin threatened to just stay there. The 10 was never going to go.
Yeah, very wide angle. Came in, as you say, took the 7-pin out, but left the 10-pin. So looking for a spare. 9 spare is 19 pins in frame number 1.
Coming in good form. Won in his home state of Lubbock, Texas on the PBA Tour last week. Had to bowl 3 strikes in a row to win it by a pin, and he did just that. So, Don Barrett. Let's see what the Englishman can come up with. Can he get Europe in front early? Takes a very wide line, and he too leaves the 10 standing.
Well, the scores are all level after 2 very good-looking shots. It was the wide angle coming in behind the head pin. Now watch this one. As the ball comes off the oil, it turns left and goes right in the pocket, but shoots that 6-pin straight round the 10. And that too is a 9 spare and 19 pins.
So Barrett keeps the Europeans level in the early going of this very first match of this year's Weber Cup, and the unmistakable Marwan Fellaini hair-alike Kyle Troup will now step in. A Weber Cup veteran, his 3rd year, yet to be on the winning team. No lack of effort on his part, and have they glued that 10-pin down, Cass?
No, they nailed it by the look of it. Everyone's having a bit of a chuckle, but they've been really good-looking shots. As you see, the 6-pin just shoots around the 10 and doesn't even touch it. So 3 9 spares in a row. 2 for the Americans, gives them a score of 38.
See the youngster there just sitting down on the left, Anthony Simonson. Has been so successful over the last couple of years, but I wonder how he's feeling on his Weber Cup debut right now. His moment about to come. But we've had 3 bowlers up, 3 9 spares, and it's the newly bearded Jesper Svensson. Interestingly enough, the only left-hander out of the 8 bowlers here. And he cleans them out. Rips the rack. The first strike of this year's Weber Cup is claimed by Jesper Svensson.
Great looking shot, pretty straight down the left-hand side, and then all of a sudden, look at it, it turns right, mixes them thin, and scores a strike. 30 pins, takes the European side to 49.
Welcome back to the Weber Cup, where after 2 frames, Europe currently lead the US 49-38 in the Team Baker match.
So a little bit of pressure then early here on the Americans. They will want to match that strike. They don't want to fall too far behind. You won't see too many bad shots over the course of the next weekend, and you certainly won't see many from Tommy Jones here. Then does let go a bad one. Straight on to the head pin. That's not one of his better shots. A bit of a surprise.
Yeah, threw it very quickly, and it almost crossed to the left-hand side of that head pin. Leaves the 3, 6 and the 9 pin standing.
And he's a little bit lucky as well, Cass, because he should be able to clean those out. But anytime you hit that flush on the head pin, you can leave yourself with a spare. So he's got away with one there, Tommy.
Yeah, what he's got to be careful of is this 9 pin standing on the back of the pin deck. There's 2 pins, one right behind the other. He's got to cover it, which he does nicely.
Yeah, avoided the split and then cleaned up. Nice to see Carl Troup's hair get in the way of our shot then, just as we were watching Tommy Jones comes back. Carl Troup's hair gets in the way of a lot of things.
Well, his nickname is Fro, obviously from Afro. And yes, it's one of his party pieces.
Stu Williams from Ellesmere Port, living in Arizona these days. That is a very nice looking shot.
Yeah, the first double of the tournament. 2 strikes in a row. This one thrown by Stu Williams. Puts another 30 pins onto the score of the European side. They are pacing at 289 is their maximum score.
Right, a first look at this young man who's got his own distinctive style, that two-handed style. Well, he leaves the first split of this Weber Cup.
Well, he's pretty fortunate just to leave these 2, because there was an 8-pin standing with these other 2, and that would have been almost an impossible spare to pick up. But he's left it now, the 2 and the 10-pin, which is actually makeable.
Oh, he had to just clip it so fine, though, didn't he? That would have been an easier shot for a lefty. But an open frame has more or less gifted this first Baker match to Team Europe, and that is not the start the 21-year-old debutant would have wanted. Now, he's got plenty of time to show us what he can really do. He comes in terrific form, but if he's going to have an open frame, get it out the way nice and early. And here is, to round out the gang of 8, it is Martin Lucky Larsson.
Yeah, he's Lucky Larsson, they call him, because this is his 7th Weber Cup, and he's never been on the losing side yet. So he certainly is Europe's lucky charm.
He might be if he carries on bowling like that all weekend.
Well, it's a 4-9 split, unfortunately. You can see the ball is high on the head pin as he goes through the pins. Leaves the 4 and the 9, which is a makeable spare. He's got to clip that 4 pin on the very finely on the left-hand side and bounce it across. He's got out his harder ball, which will go a lot straighter.
Oh, he's just missed it.
Well, you could see he gave it a shot, but unfortunately didn't make it, and that's an open frame now for Team Europe.
Yeah, and that chucks the lifeline back to Team USA right there. So frustration then for Martin Larsson, who did not live up to his nickname. Back-to-back open frames.
You can see there from the open frame how the maximum score goes down very, very quickly with an open.
Oh, Barnes was not quite online there and is a little bit fortunate to leave himself just a single pin.
Yes, indeed. At one time, you can see there was the same split that Larsson left, the 4 and the 9. There it is, but he's got a little kick on that 4 pin, which is gone. So it's a single pin spare, which he will hope to take out quite cleanly. He'll go harder and straighter at this one. Not looking for so much hook.
Just like that, but another spare for Chris Barnes. Would you believe it? We are through 5 frames. The Americans yet to strike.
Nick, it's early days. Yeah, they obviously would have liked to strike, but there's a lot of games to go, and the Baker format only gives the players 2 frames to bowl, really. The lead-off man and the second place player play 3 frames.
Dom has made that ball do an awful lot of work, and the reaction he got off the back end produced the strike that keeps Europe in control of this first Baker match.
Yeah, very powerful shot coming up from the right-hand side of the lane, really wide. Buried the ball right between the 1 pin and the 3 pin, which is the optimum place for a right-hander to put the ball to get a strike, and he did just that.
Oh, it's taken a big kick to get rid of that 10 at last for the Americans. Kyle Troup delivers their first strike. And that's all down to the power that he generated.
Fantastic looking shot this, right in the 1-3 pocket. Where's the head pin? Here it comes. They call it a messenger, and it's shot the 10-pin dead. Look at that. Carl very happy with that one. Great reaction in the back end. Svensson strike on his first ball, looking for another one to make 2 in a row for the Europeans.
Oh, he didn't like something there. Did you see him looking down? Now, something happened there at the release that he wasn't happy with.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. His sliding shoe may have stuck just a little bit. Certainly looked down. He wasn't very happy with it. But having said that, now let's just watch. Yeah, he just stopped there. But it was actually quite a great looking shot right into the left-hander's pocket between the 1 and the 2 pin, and it was unlucky to leave a single pin standing. So he's going to be looking for a 9 spare, which will be 19 pins.
Yep, safely sparing out.
25 pin lead for Team Europe.
Well, that can go very quickly at this level. That spare basically keeps the Americans in this, especially if they can come up with a strike to give them their first double. Troup delivered. Now, what can Tommy Jones come up with? The man who carries that nickname, Mr. 300. Very wide again, very aggressive shot. A bit like the Barrett shot, that one.
Yeah, they're certainly throwing these bowling balls pretty hard and wide. Look at the angle. This comes roaring back. And it is, yes, Mr. 300, the man that's had 4 300 games during his Weber Cup career. Let's hope he's looking for another one this weekend.
Well, we're overdue a 300. Nothing since 2013. Now, that's put some pressure on Stuart Williams, because if this is anything less than a strike, suddenly the Americans have closed this one right up. So it's a big shot, this, for Williams. And he has responded superbly.
Nice shot from Stu Williams. Keeps the 25-pin advantage to Team Europe. And we're down through frame 7 already with just 3 frames to go.
That was a big shot. And this fella needs to settle down very quickly indeed, as I'm sure he will. He was the man who left an open frame last time up. He's gone very wide this time, and he's not leaving an open frame there, is he? He's in business.
Just tightened his line up slightly there. You could see the amount of rotation he gets on the ball with these two-handed shots. And it's just blasted the 1-3 pocket and ripped the rack, making 3 strikes in a row, which was called a turkey for Team USA.
Keeps the pressure on. Europe still can't breathe easy. Martin Larsson, who had a bit of trouble in his first frame, can't afford any more trouble here in frame 8. Nice pocket hit, no problem at all for the Swede.
Strike for Larsson. His first shot was an open frame, but he's made up for that on this shot here, and you can see the body language. Look at that.
It's a very quiet group, with the honourable exception of Stu Williams, of course, but don't disguise the fact that they are extremely determined. He's not quite found the pocket there, Barnes, and leaves the 10, and that probably will do it as far as this first Baker match is concerned. Can't see the Americans getting back here, barring a complete European collapse, and I think he knows that better than anybody.
Yes, it's unfortunate. The difference between a 9 spare and a strike is 11 pins, and it only takes a couple of those and you will be losing the game.
Slow trudge back to the bench for the American skipper.
Yeah, maximum 221 for Team USA. Europe can still strike off for 257. So it could well be first blood. to Europe.
Oh, Barrett's got that ball working. That wraps it up.
It does wrap it up now. Yes, Team Europe are on 227. Team USA can only make 221. So the first point is going to go to Team Europe.
They'll be hoping the rest of the weekend is as easy as this. They've been in control of this Baker. There's going to be a few twists and turns before this one is settled. And Kyle Troup not in any luck. There's still stuff going on back there, but I don't think it's taken that 7-pin.
The machine came down to grab it first, but how unfortunate that was. Great looking shot. Lots of rotation from the two-hander.
A lot of corner pins left standing by the Americans in this Baker. And remember, they are the team that picked this lane pattern as well. Last year's losers had first choice of the lane pattern. They chose this one. This is what they wanted.
The lane will be dressed every 3 games and then every 2 games. So they're going to be working out exactly who they like to bowl on freshly dressed lanes and who they like to bowl on what they call the drier lane.
Well, this won't happen to Svensson very often. No pressure at all. Just have some fun with that one. Rip the rack, why not? Really rub American faces in it right from the get-go. Now that was impressive from Team Europe.
It's been the perfect start for Team Europe at this year's Weber Cup, comfortably taking the opening Baker match to the delight of the home fans. Captain Dom Barrett is now talking to Hannah Wilkes.
Well, Dom, picking up pretty much where you left off last year.
Yeah, we had a good day practicing, getting our schedule ready for that match and the session, and yeah, it started off perfectly.
This team is so strong. We know obviously you haven't won the Weber Cup in one match, but what are you looking to achieve by the end of this session? What's the aim in terms of points?
We haven't put a number on it really. We're just going to go out and make sure we feel comfortable, get everybody enough time on the lane to actually feel good over the whole weekend, and just try and make sure, if we keep playing good, the points will take care of themselves. All those cliches you want to use, we've used before, but the main thing is to get us all feeling comfortable in a place where we know that we can throw our best shots, and we've just got to keep doing that.
And your first look at that USA team on the lane, what do you make of them?
I think they're a really good team. They're good friends of ours on and off the lanes, not so much on the lanes this weekend. But I think they're a really good team. They've got a good team chemistry this year, I think. I think they're going to be a tough opponent.
It's singles matches from here on in, with the last game of the session being the fans' choice, where followers vote for the player from each side that they want to see in the final matchup. But before that, Kyle Troup takes on the European skipper, Dom Barrett.
First few years of the Weber Cup was a great experience. Unfortunately, USA actually took a pretty big beat down. I bowled really well. Seemed to really grow with the crowd. The crowd took to liking of my afro and antics, and just I really enjoyed myself. The whole atmosphere really feeds into myself and just what I like to be on the lanes.
If someone wants to bowl first or someone wants to bowl last, we kind of make sure that all makes us all feel comfortable, and then we go from there. So being captain for a bunch of my friends is actually really easy.
It's 1 point for the win, with Dom Barrett to bowl first. Commentary from Nick Halling and Guy Kaminsky.
Very early stages in the match, but I can tell you just from the outside looking in, it doesn't look very good in terms of ball shape for a good break there for Dom. Doesn't look good for the ball shape that they had in that. The carry wasn't good, because unfortunately these guys are so good. They're not looking to just hit the pocket. They're trying to make sure they're getting 10 every time, and the balls, everything they tried, every adjustment they made didn't seem to work. And like you say, these guys just, same thing year in, year out, and this USA don't have the answers.
Well, this is an important point for the Americans, because Troup has looked the steadiest As you say, it's still very, very early, but Troup looks the steadiest. They could really do with settling down with a point from him here, and that's the start he would have wanted.
Absolutely, and he was their standout player for the last 2 years. I know he was in a losing side, but he really was the shining light for USA. He's really, you can see he's extroverted. He loves this environment, loves the stadium atmosphere, and he's really come to grips with the lane.
Oh, no, he lost it there.
I'd like to know what Spector had on that, because that looks slow to me off his hand. The first one went high. I don't know if he made any adjustment on the actual lane and that he slowed his ball speed down. But that really took off the spot. You can see that how that ball changed direction, which, yeah, let him go high in the head pin, leaving the 3-6-10. Should be a make-all spare for Dom.
That is.
And what happens with this scoring system? So in the old scoring system, it was interesting because you obviously wouldn't end up with a 7. Because of the new scoring system, you end up with 47. So we call that the count. So you can get behind in the count, and then actually can count in your favour. If you so basically, troopers will get 9 spare and still be ahead of the match. Where in the old days, 9 spare versus 7 spare would be the same after the strike.
He's not thinking spares, is he? He is thinking, oh, my opponent just left a spare, and now I'm going to leave exactly the same spare. Well, that wasn't the script that Kyle Troup would have wanted to write for himself.
No, exactly. So the lane's definitely changing. So what happens that's different in this environment compared to your local bowling centre? These lights are floodlights. It gets very hot out there, which makes the oil move around much more. And these bowling balls are taking oil off the lane every single shot. So the lane is changing. Good spare there for Kyle. The lane is changing. They're having to make adjustments as they see them. So what I fully expect now is the guys probably to move their feet a little bit left, either that or increase their ball speed.
Well, they will redress that oil after every 3rd game, then every 2 games. So I guess the big pressure's on the 3rd player coming up, because that oil will have been moving all over the place then. Anyway, let's see what adjustments Barrett makes after that 7 spare. Ooh, that was a bit wobbly, wasn't it?
Yeah, you can see the ball's just trying. It's just got too much hook down lane, so it's coming a bit higher. He did make an adjustment there, but you can still see this ball come. The angle is coming off the spot there. So obviously his options are, to change bowling ball to something that doesn't hook as much, increase the ball speed, or take something off just to reduce the hook down lane. But no damage done there. They're both just feeling their way through this. It'll be interesting to see what Kyle's go-to is generally ball speed. So I expect to see this amped up a little bit, slightly.
Well, let's see if Troup can make the adjustment. As you say, his ball speed is a thing to just admire and enjoy. And he hasn't slowed that down. Look at the rotation on that. That was always going to take everything, wasn't it?
That was a great shot there. And if I had people that are watching at home, if you just could look at the last third of the lane, his ball is not turning as much in that last third. If you look there, from there, look at the control. That's a real smooth arc into the pocket, where Dom's got quite a sharp angle going into the pocket. So Dom would probably have to make a more dramatic move to the left or this ball speed, because he's having to control a lot more hook than what Kyle's using at the moment.
So Troup has the lead.
You saw there, Nick, that ball went way more closer to the gutter there. He just gave it more room to allow for the hook. So these guys are so good. They're making the adjustments, instantaneously, which is so impressive. With a local guy in his bowling centre, doesn't see those kind of changes and then ends up bowling a bad game. But these guys, the change is so quick. You can see there, he's pretty chuffed with himself.
Well, Troup's pretty happy with his line right now.
Yeah, he's quite Cassie'd say he's locked and loaded right now. It's looking pretty good for him. So both players look like they've got it going on now. They've settled into the lane, which I think also, early doors here, you can expect to have a bit of jitters. It doesn't matter how many times you've been out here, you're always going to have that pre-match jitters.
Yeah, Barrett's just got to stay with Troup right now. Can't afford. He's a little bit lucky there. Now, Don Barrett will be the first to tell you I rode my luck there. You can see it in his body language as well.
Yeah, that ball again went really quick off the spot there. Look at that shot. See how sharp that angle is compared to compared to Carl. I think I prefer that controlled angle into the pocket. I think you've got more room for error like that. But, I mean, Dom will know his game, what suits him the best, you know.
He's fighting the lane at the moment, Guy.
Yeah, but the amazing thing is he is fighting the lane, but he's right in the match. He's only one shot behind, really, on the scoreboard. So, I mean, any mistake from Carl, he can pounce.
Troup doesn't look like he's going to make any mistakes at the moment. He is absolutely dialed on. 3 in a row means Turkey.
Yeah, great shot there from Carl. And actually, and the difference also, again, someone watching, is that you can see that, look how light he's on the head pin. All the pins are kind of mixed up on the deck, where Dom's ball reaction is coming high on the head pin.
Team USA applying the pressure in the second match of the Weber Cup. More to come after the break. Welcome back to the Weber Cup here at Arena MK. The Europeans claim the opening point in the Baker match. In the second, Kyle Troup has a slim advantage over Dom Barrett. Commentary from Nick Halling and Guy Kaminski.
Oh, that was a great shot. I mean, absolutely perfect in the 1-3 pocket there. Great shot by Dom. Be interesting to talk to the players afterwards to see actually how much, you know, the adjustments they're making, how quick, how soon they feel the lane's changing.
Well, he's such a strong competitor, Dom Barrett. He really is digging in here, but Troup has been comfortable. We know he's a good front runner as well, but he's got Barrett tucked in right behind him. He needs to keep the strikes rolling here. And he is out of luck.
Wow, look at the surprise on his face. I'm also surprised that didn't hook. It really didn't hook at all. I don't know whether he missed it at the bottom of the swing, but it really just, yeah, that just quit almost at the back of the lane. It just, you can see he doesn't understand that either. Yeah. He's pretty surprised.
I don't think anybody understands that. Yeah. Well, can he dig these out? No, he can't. That's just turned things around.
Wow.
I mean, looking at it, you'd say, well, that wasn't a bad pocket hit. What went wrong?
Well, I mean, visually from here, we're at a distance. We obviously expect don't have the exact stats for us, but visually it looked in the right place. It looked the same speed. It didn't look different.
No.
But obviously what we don't know is how it comes off his hand. You know, with that 2 fingers style, it's possible that it can just slip off your palm, and if you miss it, you don't catch the ball right. It doesn't have that hook at the back of the lane.
Well, when you're chasing and your opponent leaves an open frame, what you have to do is capitalize with a strike. This is the ball of the match right now for Dom Barrett, and maybe that's why he's just slowed it right down here.
Yeah, this is not his first rodeo, let me tell you. He knows the first shot after your opponent's made a mistake is the most crucial one, you know. It's like if you break someone's serve, holding yours the next game's the most important. Very similar here, in that you've got to keep the door firmly shut.
Well, the 10 didn't want to know again.
Yeah, really good shot though by Dom. I think he liked that one. Yeah, but now, game's still in the balance here now. I mean, essentially, he makes a spare and Carl strikes next. Is that we could have a tie ball game.
Yeah, didn't get the luck there, did he? Pins flying all around that 10. Nothing touched it. The troublesome 10 finally goes.
Obviously, Nick, we've been here a few years now watching the play, and it's what's really interesting for me is just seeing the determination on USA's talk, their body language, and all the guys are sitting in the front row. Actually, not just that, they're all there giving feedback. Last year, we didn't see this from the USA. They're very much man alone out there. There you can see Tommy and Chris in the front row.
Well, he keeps it very much alive. Very interesting. It's interesting what you just said there, because Chris Barnes has talked about that so much already. The key here, he says, is we've got to have the same team chemistry as the Europeans have got. He's identified that as a big, big factor behind Europe's recent success.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be critical of anybody, but it was very hard for the captains previously with no experience. It's very hard, you know, it's hard to do that, and that's why I think getting Chris back was an absolute master stroke because he's got the experience on the lane. The guys look up to him and respect him, you know. Those are the two leaders right there. Look at them out there watching their guys. And that support also helps you as a player.
Barrett trailing here by 1 pin. He keeps the pressure on, but if these two strike out from here, Troup wins this by a pin.
But this is what you want. You want bowling of the highest order. I mean, you want all the games to come down to the 9th and 10th frame. And this is what you practice for. You live for these moments to get up there and, you know, and potentially strike to win yourself a tournament or a point for your country.
Well, we're having our first nail biter pretty early here, aren't we? First singles match.
Yeah, I have a really important shot here for Carl.
That was huge.
Oh, that was us perfect, let me tell you. And just watching those last two shots, it still confuses me how we got that 7 in the middle of that, you know, basically 3 strikes in that 7 and then 2 great more shots. I'd like to ask him, actually. We'll get some feedback for you as to what happened with that shot, but I'm sure he missed it at the bottom of the swing.
Well, the reality is the winning line is, well, the finish line, should I say, is hoving into view here. We are in frame 9, and with Barrett trailing by just a pin, he needs to strike to keep the pressure on. He is a good pressure bowler, Barrett, as you can see.
Oh, that really looks good. So this is basically like you go, no, you go, and just see who cracks first, you know, which is awesome. You just wonder if that's, you know, the only thing I'm thinking is that, has that 7, is it in the back of your mind, or has he completely forgotten about it? To be a great bowler, you've got a very short memory, but that when the pressure really gets ramped up, I wonder if that 7 will play in the back of his mind.
Well, let's see if we can find out here, because Barrett is asking the questions. Troup has got to come up with another correct response here, which he does, and it was never in doubt.
And here we go. We're all down to basically a 1-frame roll-off, really. The simple reality is that Dom has to strike to force Troup to strike to win the point. And we've got a long weekend of bowling here and a lot of bowling to come. So you don't want to talk about the scoreboard just yet. But I think with the domination Europe have had, I think it's important that USA stay within touching distance right from the get-go.
Absolutely. You know, I think this right here could be one of the big singles matches of this whole weekend. The skipper of Europe, toe-to-toe with the most consistent player over the last couple of years for the Americans. And who's going to come out on top? And it looks like USA, because a single pin has been left on its spot.
That was a really good shot there. Might have just hooked a bit more than he expected. The bowling ball, you'll see, actually drives straight past the 9 pin there. But the bowling ball is actually meant to hit that pin, so you rely on a bit of deflection, which should happen. But the bowling ball with that angle hasn't deflected enough to hit the 9 pin. But still a really good shot.
Yeah, a good shot, but probably that is the point lost for Team Europe right there. And
yeah.
He knows it.
All right, so this is what it comes down to now, Nick. So a 9 all strike wins it. An 8 spare will give us a tie. So basically 9 all strike puts the first point on the board for USA. I mean, I don't need to tell Carl how big this is, but I think he knows that, you know, this is a critical moment in the tournament.
Well, just take that one ball when he left 3 standing. He has been close to flawless, and his line has had no variation at all. If he can find another one, as we saw in his last 3, this one's over. Oh my goodness, he's got it, but with a huge slice of luck.
And you can see there was definitely some semblance from that 7. If that 7 didn't hook, he missed that ball left. I mean, he didn't want to have that same thing happen to him again. So he was playing for the 9. He wasn't too worried about the strike. But the strike was obviously a bonus, but that could easily have been an 8.
Kyle Troup coming through a tightly fought encounter to level the scores. He's now talking to Hannah Wilkes.
Well, Kyle Troup, you really do love the Weber Cup, and that's the kind of start we expect to see from you.
Yeah, you know, I really thrive in this atmosphere. You know, the crowd is electric. I've got some great teammates with me this year. You know, we caught some bad breaks in the Baker game, so you know, I knew I needed to come out with a big start, and caught the little break in the 10th just to make the game a little easier for us to win.
It looked at one point like we might be going to a roll-off. I'm sure there was a huge sigh of relief from the USA camp when it didn't. The whole team this year, you seem to have a really great energy amongst you all.
Yeah, you know, we all have really good connections with one another. You know, like I've known Tommy and I've roomed with Simonson, and so we all know each other really well. We all feel really confident. We're all very hungry. So, you know, we're looking forward to this year, and we're off to a good start.
Next time out, it's the singles debut of Anthony Simonson as he takes on the winner of 2 Weber Cups, Sweden's Jesper Svensson. And in match 4, Weber Cup stalwart Martin Larsson is in action against the returning US captain and tournament legend, Chris Barnes.
Come on, come on, come on, come on.